Good morning, children. This morning session is dedicated to class 10. As the pre-board exam is in the month of February, we are revising the lessons. Today we shall take up the poem A Tiger in the Zoo by Leslie Norris, and we are going to revise this lesson. A Tiger in the Zoo is written by Leslie Norris. Here in this poem, the poet is trying to convey the sharp contrast between freedom and captivity. The poet has here conveys that a poet has compared the life of a tiger in a cage or in a zoo to that of the tiger in the natural habitat. The poet here says that a tiger in the zoo, however, looks majestic but is quite helpless, whereas a tiger in the natural habitat enjoys his freedom. The poet conveys the message that the wild animals should be left in their natural habitat. They should never be caged because they always feel captivity inside the cage. In the poem, also the poet also heightens the contrast between captivity and freedom, and very impressively the poet shows how a tiger loves for freedom and wants to get freedom from the captivity. The poet has also tried to bring to our notice the natural instinct of every living being. Freedom is the natural instinct of every living being. Now we'll move on to explanation with stanza 1 and then the question answer. He stalks in his vivid stripes the few steps of his cage on pads of velvet quiet in the quiet rays. The meaning of the words like stalks means walks in strides very slowly in a threatening manner. Vivid means bright and clear. Stripes means long, narrow bands, and pads means soft part of the foot of the tiger. Rays means anger. And the poem, here the first stanza of the poem, the poet wants to just convey that the poet sees the locked tiger in a concrete cell in the zoo. It is a very small cage. Hardly he can take a few steps during just along the length of the cage. He looks majestic as he slowly moves up and down in the cage. The sharp and clear stripes on his body are of a strong bright color. His pads are velvet, soft. In spite of all his strength, he looks quite helpless as he is imprisoned behind the bar. The caged tiger is angry. He is full of rage, but he is quite helpless because he is in the cage. Now the question answer. The very first question. Describe the tiger in the zoo. The tiger in the zoo, describe the tiger in the cage. The tiger in the cage is just a diminished form of the tiger. He paces up and down in the cage, quite restlessly. He is confined to the narrow cell and is kept staring at the stars as if longing for freedom. He is helpless and draws pity for the condition. The tiger in the cage is quite helpless and he desires, longs for freedom. The next question, where should the tiger have been according to the poet? According to the poet, the tiger should have been in his natural habitat, that means in the jungle. Lurking means hiding in the shadows of the trees, just waiting for his prey to attack on, like the deer near the water hole. He should have been on the outer skirt of the jungle, snarling around the houses and terrifying the villagers. Next question. How does the tiger make his presence felt in the village? The tiger makes his presence felt in the village just by a snarling or growling around the houses at the jungle's edge, and by showing his white fangs and claws. The tiger might be terrorizing the villagers by showing his white fangs and claws and by snarling and growling near the villages at the outer skirt of the jungle. What does the tiger do in the cage? The tiger looks at a concrete cell where he can hardly take a few steps along the length of the cage. He does not really make any noise. He keeps quiet. With the shining eyes, he keeps staring at the bright stars in the sky. This clearly suggests that he is longing for freedom. Why should the tiger snarl around the house? The tiger is trying to show his anger and displeasure by snarling around the houses at the edge of the jungle. He is trying to growl near the houses at the edge of the jungle, just terrorizing the villagers because he wants, you know, when he doesn't get his prey, I mean his victim for attack, then he starts disturbing the villagers and the peace of the forest. Secondly, he will not kill the animals for money or for just for fun, but he will kill it for his hunt or for his food. And the last two questions: why do you think the tiger looks at the stars? The tiger feels very helpless in this case. He stares and hopes the at the he hope at the brilliant stars shining in the sky. He hopes for the day when he would be able to run free in the wild. Actually, he is looking at the stars, hoping for his freedom. He just thinks that a day will come when he will be free and from the captivity. And this is the last question. The tiger feels very helpless. What does the poet convey through the poem? The poet tries to expose the miserable life of the animals in the zoo. He compares the life of the animals in the zoo to that of the life of the animals outside the zoo. And that is what I wanted to convey. Thank you. Have a nice day.